Howdy, partners! Welcome to the Haunted Chronicles, episode 124. Thank you to last week's guest, Laura Brewerton, and that show's available in the on-demand section of paramaniaradio.com. Tonight's guest is Willie Aames, and Willie is waiting patiently in the Haunted Chronicles green room, playing with my Evel Knievel stunt cycle, and will join us momentarily. This episode is brought to you by An Evening with Annabelle. Do you want to hear about some of Ed and Lorraine Warren's most famous cases and take a picture with a real Annabelle doll? Hear the voices Ed Warren recorded at the Enfield haunting? All while dining on a sumptuous buffet. Join me September 10th for An Evening with Annabelle. Visit warrens.net for ticket information. Thank you. And also, David Oman, our friend and previous guest, has a couple tickets left for tomorrow night's investigation, and you could get information on that at theomanhouse.com. That's O-M-A-N. I am Mr. Haunted, and joined by Jennifer Jigglypuff Runyon and Brock Butterfree Burrows. Fellas!
Hey! Oh, that's awesome. Wonderful.
I feel like Mr. Miyagi's going to walk out.
I know.
Wax on, wax off.
Hey guys, how are you? How are you, everybody? It's been a week.
It has.
It has been a week.
It all ended today with a typical user at work.
Oh no!
It just drives us up the wall. But had a problem with her computer, and it's comical. It's at the point where it's comical.
I have users at work too. I don't like them.
I don't like users at all.
Yeah, and we tend to change and call them losers. And I actually, just among us, and I actually was down there the other day, and I'm like, well, you're a typical loser. I mean, user.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Jigglypuff's on vacation.
I am.
How's your vacation?
You know, it's hot. I am in Palm Desert, La Quinta, and it is 108 today. I literally was in a pool floating on a raft for an hour with like 50 sunblock on, and oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's
crazy.
almost my happier than today.
Yeah, well, I'm hotter. I'm in Juarez, Mexico, and I'm dodging bullets right now. No, I'm not. I'm in Virginia.
Very good.
I don't have a dramatic life. Although we were close to Juarez when we went to the bowl game in El Paso, and that's as close to that place as I want to be.
Oh,
Thank you.
So, Jimmy.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. I want to give you an update on the raccoon from last week, and that'll be the end of the raccoon stories for a while.
Oh, this is so cute.
Little Davy Crockett is now apparently shacking up with a raccoon named Wilma out of wedlock, mind you, at the Raccoon Crossing rehabilitation.
Yeah.
I'm never going to say that word again.
That's the cutest picture I've ever seen, by the way.
It is.
They're like hugging. They're hugging each other.
Made friends. And I want to add that today I'm happier than a Tahitian dolphin. You know when the dolphins hop up and down like they're all excited? Well, like he's doing that, hopping up and down with alarming frequency while he's tooting a flute in the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Like he's Grover freaking Cleveland or something.
Nice. Nice.
That was the worst one ever.
No, I liked it.
Tonight's guest starred in Swiss Family Robinson, Scavenger Hunt, Eight is Enough, Paradise, Zapped, Harvest Moon, Charles in Charge, and has a new Hallmark movie coming out that's premiering November 12th called Christmas Makeover, and his last visit was in 2014. It's been too long. Mr. Willie Aames.
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Wilbur.
You know what? I gotta tell you, I was listening to you, Jen, when you first started talking as the music, that long intro was playing, which was pretty creepy. I gotta admit, it was pretty creepy. And then suddenly you came in and you started talking. It was starting to sound very Elvira.
Oh.
It was, I'm just saying, it was kind of this like ghostly, sexy voice. And then suddenly, Jimmy.
I ruined it.
No offense, my friend. No offense. I had this whole image going in this sort of ghostly, flowing, blonde hair of Jennifer Runyon. Ooh, and then, I'm just,
oh, no.
But I do love you, Jimmy. You know that I love you guys to death. You know what? I'm trying to put together all of these images you've been painting, Jimmy, about jumping dolphins and flutes and Atlantic, and I'm listening, and I'm not following, my friend.
You're not seeing it?
Happy Hawaiian dolphin and the Atlantic.
Tahitian.
That Tahitian, even Tahitian, my friend, that is a jump of hemispheres.
Where is Tahiti? I don't even know.
It's in the South Pacific. It's the furthest place from the Atlantic. Let's just put it that way.
Well,
Jimmy.
Well, he traveled. He just traveled. He was on his way up to see Jimmy.
He was on holiday.
Yeah, he was on
holiday.
Oh,
my gosh.
That's so
I can't, you know what? I can't believe it's been since 2014 that it makes sense because I've been all over the world since then, many times, or actually circled it many times, but it just seems like it wasn't that long ago. But you and I stay in touch. I mean, we all stay in touch on Facebook and through Twitter and that sort of thing. So maybe that's why it doesn't feel like it's been so long since I've been here.
Yeah.
Jimmy, it's been so long. It's been so long.
I'm not even going to make an it is enough joke right here. But, Jennifer.
Yeah.
You're only here till halftime, so I want to make sure that I don't hog everything.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions.
So do you have to go early, Jen? Excuse me. Is there some cold drinks out by the desert pool?
Yeah. I'm going to go get
You have some massive meeting with a martini taking place somewhere?
A dirty martini, baby. You got it.
Yeah. I'm
nice
sure
and
it
dirty.
Is. Well,
nice and dirty.
Well,
no, we've got a house full of people, and we could not get dinner reserved. It was either 6:15 is dinner at the restaurant or 8:00 tonight, and that was not going to happen. So here I am.
You know what? I actually applaud you for doing the show on what is your vacation.
Well, I mean, when your BFF comes on, what you think I'm not going to, hang with you? You priorities, man.
Yep.
Well, I do. I have to tell you, I just got, I know this is kind of oddball, but I just got a friend request from some weird psychic. Now, you would think if they were psychic, they would know that I'm going to push delete request.
Right. Just like poor Miss Cleo last week.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Miss Cleo. She passed away, didn't she?
Yeah, poor little thing.
Yeah, you know what? I used to love Miss Cleo. I used to love those late nights where Miss Cleo
would those commercials. Come on. Oh my God, they were so classic. I never called.
And threaten me with my future. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. My gosh. You know what? Speaking of, you said something, Jennifer, you said something about zombie, right?
Yeah.
What was it about the zombie?
Oh, no, I'm going to go to a chop restaurant, like a Benihana. I'm going to get myself a zombie tonight. That's what I was saying.
You know what? I think you should because, now but I don't think Jimmy, and for sure the listeners wouldn't know, I, for the last week, have been hanging out and around the set of iZombie, the television show that's out there. And I have to tell you, this is how crazy and freaky this television business is, because so you go for iZombie and you meet with the producers and you look at the part and you do all of these things, and they're just eating it up. They're loving it. I mean, really, just like going, wow, that's excellent, that's great. And then you go home and you wait, right? Then you wait to see, well, great, okay, so, they've got a week or so before we're supposed to start shooting. Are you going to do it, or you're not going to do it? And then you get a call, and they want you to come back in because the producers loved what you did, but they had some specific notes for you, so they want you to kind of change it up a little bit to be more the character that they had in mind when they penned these masterworks that they produce weekly. And so you go in there, and when you get there, you realize nobody else is there that looks anything like you. And so you go in, and again, they love it, and it's wonderful, and you're thinking, iZombie, And what they wanted me to change was it was written in the script that there was a horrified reaction. And I thought, well, iZombie, she eats brains. Maybe I saw her eat some brains, because they don't really give you a lot of information. They just say, here's your line, and now you're horrified. And so you say the line and you act horrified. But I know the show and I know zombies, so okay, hey, I'm horrified. They said, no, it's not that kind of horrified. It's a different kind of horrified. It's a horrified because someone has shown you something inappropriate. And I can't give away a lot because, they get mad at me, but somebody's shown you something that's inappropriate. So I changed my horrified reaction to be more of that's been shown something that was completely inappropriate, not horrific as in zombie horrific. And I went home thinking, wow, I can't wait to go back to the set. And then you wake up and you see Facebook and you realize that you're not doing iZombie at all. They went with a little Asian guy.
This is the worst thing about auditioning when you're an actor.
Where did he come from? And how was I suddenly confused with him?
It's fun.
There's just no rhyme or reason. I'm glad he's doing the show. It's really wonderful, but you have to laugh. And as soon as you said the word zombie, the horror came back. Because, I was saying a little bit earlier, there's a very fine line between brilliance and having made an ass of yourself.
Right.
And when you're preparing for these roles, and you're in your head, and you're really you're adding nuance, and you're finding the moments for these, zombie things, and then you think, oh yeah, that's a good choice. And it's only brilliant and a good choice if you actually get the gig. Because after that, it's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that was my day, Jimmy. They had nothing to do with squirrels and inappropriate relationships with one another.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Because if we don't laugh, we cry. Anyway, that's what's happening, and that was my Friday.
That was Willie's Friday.
That was my Friday. And so, Jen, I think you should go have your zombie, because I won't be having mine.
Oh, my God.
Thank you very much. What's in the haunted world these days? What's going on in the Haunted Chronicles? Because, go ahead.
The listeners are very upset because I didn't get to Scary Movie Celebrity Birthdays.
Oh, well, let's do it.
Oh, my gosh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
We're all going to play.
Heavens to Betsy.
We're all going to play.
Heavens to Betsy.
Heavens to Betsy. Heavens to Murgatroyd.
I got 3. No big deal. These are people that are celebrating a birthday next week, and you have to guess how old they're going to be.
Yes.
Vera Farmiga, who is an orphan, the TV series Bates Motel, and played Lorraine Warren in The Conjuring 1 and 2.
All right.
And we're supposed to guess what?
How old? How old
she'll
she
be.
is.
She has a birthday coming up.
You can't look it up. You have to just guess. And I'm going to guess 47.
She's in The Conjuring, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just heard that I'm in The Conjuring too, by the way.
Why? What are you doing?
There's a poster of me. Somebody wrote me and said that there's a poster of me on the wall in The Conjuring.
Cool.
Anyway, Vera Farmiga, Conjuring, I'm going to say she's 44.
Ah, okay.
43.
She will be 43.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's not a bad guess. 44, not a bad guess.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
not bad.
gave you an extra year, Vera.
Yeah, listen, poor Vera, not going to be a fan of mine now. I was told to 47. Sorry, Vera.
I said 46.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Hoffman.
What's part?
Oh.
August 8th is his birthday, and he's not in any horror movies so much, but we got to add him in here. He's a damn national treasure. He was in The Graduate, Midnight Cowboy, Kramer versus Kramer, Tootsie, Rain Man, etc., etc. Dustin.
I have to excuse myself from this one.
Do you know?
Because I was just researching him yesterday.
Okay, so you
know. So I already know. Yeah, I have to excuse
what
myself.
What a gentleman you are for doing that. You could have. Okay, so
I met him one day. He was a very nice man.
He's pretty cool, huh? I say 71.
I'm going to say 80.
He'll
be 79.
Oh, you, Brock. You were right there.
And one more we have to get in.
Okay.
Oops. Maureen McCormick.
Oh.
Her birthday is today.
I have to excuse myself for this one.
Everybody has to excuse themselves. Play along in chat, fellas. Everyone's out of this one. She was in Snow White, A Deadly Summer, The Nightmare Next Door, and she co-starred in Dickie Roberts, former child star, with Willie Aames. She was in Return to Horror High and played Marsha Brady in the TV series The Brady Bunch.
I have no idea. I'm going to say I'm going to keep her around listening to the show, so I'm going to say 42.
What a nice fellow.
Oh, my God. Please.
I'm
my
older than
God.
Marsha.
Somebody give that man a rag so he can wipe his nose. I happen to know how old Maureen McCormick is because I, like everybody else, had a crush on her before, and I never did the Brady Bunch, but we did do Dickie Roberts together, and I happen to know she will turn 60.
That's right.
Correctamundo.
She looks good for 60 years old, man.
She looks amazing for 60.
She's
Are you
gorgeous.
kidding?
I want to look like Maureen McCormick. Well, I want to look like me, but I want to look that good.
I should be so lucky to look that good in 25 years.
Yeah, she looks... yeah. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a story you told us last visit about when you were, I think you were filming Swiss Family Robinson, and you went, I'm trying to steer you, and I hope you get the direction I'm going in. You were, I guess they were filming another film on the same lot, and it was a scary movie with Linda Blair.
We you know that. Well, those were when we were doing Swiss Family Robinson. That was over at Fox, and those were the days when they were doing the Exorcist with Linda Blair.
Is that what you're remembering, Jim?
Of course,
yeah.
Yeah, because when in those days when you were shooting films on different lots, on that same lot we also had Starsky and Hutch. We had MASH. We had the Poseidon Adventure, Eric Shea. So when there were little kids, any little kids working on the lot, you all kind of found each other at the commissaries. And, of course, you're a bunch of kids in an adult world. But no one wanted to sit with Linda. No, a little weird. A little weird on that makeup, but it was interesting because, Jen, I think it was about as hot as it is where you are now, which is in the hundreds, 101, 102, and of course that was at Century City over at the Fox lot.
Right.
And people were showing up to work in down jackets in the middle of the summertime, and we thought they were all nuts because they had actually in those days they didn't have any CGI to create frozen breath and that sort of thing, so they actually turned an entire soundstage into a refrigerator, so that when they did the scenes with the exorcism taking place, you actually saw their breath. So that was real breath, not like Titanic, where you see they've added that at the end where Leonardo is hanging out in the water there. That's all been added later, but yeah, those were really fun days over at Fox, but I'm not sure how much fun Linda was having. Who, by the way, is doing quite well, Linda Blair. She's doing very well right now. I see her on occasion. If you go to some of the Comic-Con and some of the autograph shows and things like that, usually Linda is there, and there's always a great night where you get to go to a local theater and watch The Exorcist with Linda Blair. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
I'm going to go to that.
Right?
I know, me too. I would love to do that.
And this is a little off the topic, but you're talking about Titanic, and that's the scene where Jack was hanging on the bed, and Rose said, "She'll never let go," and she let go.
Yeah, exactly. That is, you know what? That is the ultimate Lucy Charlie Brown moment.
She pulled the football away.
Yeah.
Exactly. I will never let you go. Ooh, see ya. Got the jewel in my pocket. Thank you.
Yeah, and that was in the cold Atlantic waters. So I just came full circle and vindicated myself, I think.
Because you somehow drew a thread between a misguided statement and a story. Okay.
I stitched a golden thread between those.
I'm with you. I'll let you go there. You're sounding a little like Buddy Lembeck right now, but that's okay. I'll let you go there. I'll definitely let you go there. My gosh. So what's happening in the haunted world, though? I mean, I have to say thank you, and I want to say it publicly, because he may actually be listening. But you introduced me to somebody that I was very happy about, Jimmy.
I love this story, and I was going to get to it. Go ahead.
This is a great story. I love it, too.
Do you want me to
start? Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, you should. And I have to say, I was in shock because I have been a big fan of this guy and his work and his show. And so if you're listening, I want you to know I'm a big fan of yours. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So Rob Demarest of Ghost Hunters International is a friend of mine, and he messaged me literally 50 times the day that he saw that you were going to be on tonight, and he said he wanted a special request from you if you could, and I couldn't promise him anything, and I messaged you, and Willie instantly, what did you do, Will? What happened?
Well, first of all, I had to go calm down. I had to go breathe into a paper bag for a few minutes, because I really couldn't believe. I have to tell you, I have always been a massive fan of Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International, the Dead Files, Steve Duchavi and Amy Allen. I love those shows, and I'm like a geeky fan. And when I saw his name pop up, because you teased me, Jimmy, you said, "Oh, somebody from a network show, he wants to connect with you," and I was like, "Well, who is it? Who is it?" And then suddenly, boop, up pops Rob Demarest, and I was like, "No way!" And the first thing I did was say, "Yes, let's connect." The second thing I did was got on Facebook Messenger and messaged Jennifer Runyon-Corman and said, "Guess who I'm meeting?" That was so, and I have to tell you, he and I chatted for a little bit on the phone. He is the nicest guy. Just like a really, really nice guy. And we were kind of talking about the state of paranormal radio and television and what the networks are doing and what Sci-Fi Network is doing. And he's a very knowledgeable and very astute producer, director, and he's been working on a bunch of things that I don't want to talk about in his stead. But I have to tell you, I was very impressed because Jen, you're very well connected and you know what's happening, and I'm always talking to people and doing things. And he is a lot more than what they show of him on TV.
Right.
He is, I always enjoyed him on TV, but he's a very bright, very astute producer and businessman, really. You can really tell he knows what he's doing. So hats off to you, Rob. And Jimmy, thank you so much for being so kind as to make that connection, because a lot of people, they may not do that.
No. And I'm glad, because I asked if you knew who he was, and you were a huge fan. I said, okay, love connection.
He was
so
excited. He messaging, "Jen, guess who I'm with? Jen." It was pretty cute.
And it Rob, was instant bromance.
Yeah.
And Rob, if you're listening, we're getting a date for Rob for a future show also.
Oh, I get to talk to him. Yay!
And maybe Willie could join us if you're not busy.
Oh my gosh, Will.
That would be cool.
If I'm here, that might be a bit crowded, but if I'm here, I would always enjoy the opportunity to chat with him. Jen, you're going to love him. He's a really nice guy, and he's got a great sense of humor.
Awesome.
I think we're already at break. Holy mackerels. Jennifer, if we don't talk to you, enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Listen, I just want to say thank you. Willie, I'm so glad you're here. Have fun the rest of the show. Jimmy, Brock, Dr. Dave, love you guys. And I will see you next week. And Will, I'll be on the phone with you probably tomorrow.
A coffee date?
Let's have a coffee date.
Okay, coffee date. If I can get up out of bed, coffee date.
You got it. All right, love you guys.
Love you, Jen.
Soon. Have a great show.
Bye, Jen.
Bye.
Welcome back to the Haunted Chronicles, home of your guaranteed halftime shout-out. Hi to everyone that came into the chat tonight. Anne Maria, Brian, Dr. Dave, Andy Dwayne, Candy, Randy, Tiffany, Sprinkles, Beatles, Mark, Lisa M, Jane Doe, Brock, Ace, Debbie, Victor and Linda, Kara E, Cheryl Carter, Desi, Mary, KLF, Auntie Chubby and Spaniel, Maggie Renee, and Corey and Frankie B. And a special shout out to my friend Brian from Ghost Hunt Weekends crew. And all the groups that shared our event page today. Paranormal Billboard, Edge of Fear, Realm of the Unknown, our friends from the Demon Files, Paranormal Planet, Electric City Paranormal, Big Bear Ghost Seekers, On the Fringe with Art Bell and Heather Wade, Interviews from Beyond, Ghosts and All Things Paranormal, Appalachian UFO Research Society, Independent Paranormal Research Society, UFOs, Paranormal and Government Agencies, and FemForce. And I almost forgot Junebug. Thank you. Thank you all. Willie,
Wow, that's quite a crew.
It is. We have a lot of support here. Last visit, you told us about an experience you had when you were living in Connecticut. And we have a lot of new listeners now. I know didn't hear the story, and they would love to hear it. If you could share that.
Yeah, it's funny because during the break we were chatting about different shows and different experiences and different opinions, and one of the things that I was saying during the break is that there are shows, like whenever I've seen people that are skeptical, because there's so much ability to manipulate footage, and these days anybody at home can do it. I do think that the thing that's interesting is it's very difficult to get the human reaction and fake it. So when I'm thinking of somebody that was very skeptical of a very popular show that I like, and they said, well, I don't think, and I said, yeah, but look at the people that they're interviewing, and you would have to have brilliant actors to not make this look fake. I mean, because these people truly believe they had that experience. And the reason that I bring that up is because I had one of those experiences when I was living in Connecticut. I was doing The Edge of Night, and Lori Loughlin, whom is a star of this Hallmark movie that I have coming out in November called Christmas Makeover. Lori Loughlin and I did a pilot together called the Tom Swift Linda Craig Mystery Hour for Aaron Spelling back in 1983. And we had such a great time. She invited me to New York to do The Edge of Night, and I went out there, and I was living in a house in Connecticut, and it was an old house right on the Sound, and next door there was a store. I can't even remember the address. In fact, I've often wanted to go back and look at it. But my son was just a little kid at the time. He was 3 years old, and his room was down the hall from me. And this old house that we were renting on the Sound always gave me the creeps, and there was always odd noises and things going on. And one night I had one of those experiences where I woke up and I knew there was something wrong. And I got up, and the washroom was across the hall, and I was just going to go to the bathroom and come back to bed. And as I went down the hall, I looked down the hall, and there was this thing looking. It was halfway in the doorway to my son's room, and it was looking back down the hallway to me, and it. There was like light behind it from the living room, so it actually blocked the light. I could see the eyes, and I could see these massive horns. They kind of went up and then came back down, and then the tips went back up. And the thing that was odd was that they had texture. Like you could see that they were rounded. And in hindsight, as I look back, if you look at a ram's horn where they had, there's that sort of growth texture to it that was there, and that thing was there, and I literally went across the hall, turned and saw it. It scared the crap out of me, and I turned around, went back in the room, and then realized it was in my son's room. And that's where I had seen it peeking around the door jamb, so I had to try and force my way back in there because my son was there, and I did. And when I got there, everything was quiet. There were no more noises. There was like nothing going on outside. Everything seemed normal. I grabbed my son and I took him back to bed with me. But ever since that time, I've always wondered, what it was, and I've had many different people try to sort of duplicate it or find go through books of demonology and see what it was, but I've never really been able to figure out what it was. That's why I would love to get a hold of Steve DeShavi or Amy Allen and show them. I drew a sketch, and I think you still have that, Jimmy.
Yeah, I shared it in the chat a couple times, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and like I can draw that. For days, I was obsessed with this thing for weeks afterwards. Like I would be at work on the set. I was working in Manhattan, and I would just be drawing pictures of this thing, just sort of obsessed with it. And it's never gone away. That feeling has never gone away. I know I saw something that was there. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't sleepwalking. And I've always been curious to see what someone like Steve DeShavi or Amy Allen would say, to say like, okay, this is what I saw. What do you think it is? And I know you looked up some stuff at one point too, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, we couldn't find exactly the match though for you.
Yeah, it's. Go ahead.
Oh, I do have a lot of times on our show in particular, we get EVPs. And we probably could have a collection of them. We could have a show on them one day. But Dr. Dave, our producer, said between us talking, he has a EVP that might sound like something. I don't want to give it away, what it might say, so you guys can make your own mind up. But if Dave has it ready, he could play it at his leisure. Holy... Somebody, what do you hear, Willie?
I don't know. I have to hear it again.
Good, Dave.
Shut up.
Yeah, I could hear that. I could hear that. I hear hello.
I hear hello too.
Maybe if we slowed it down later.
You hear what?
Hello?
Or Helen. Maybe Helen?
Let me hear that again. Let me hear it again. I know that's weird, right? Philip?
Possible.
Yeah, someone else said Philip.
A lot of people say they hear Philip. Any connection with Philip?
Philip.
I don't know. Philip's listening. Shout out to Philip.
Well, so I have a question then. Where are these EVPs coming from? Like, for instance, you've recorded this. So where is the mic that's capturing this audio bite?
I think we all have a little different theories on how EVPs. Brock, do you have an opinion on what your opinion on EVPs?
Yeah, well, in this case, it could have been from any of our mics until. Yeah, and Dave just said that in Skype chat. It could come from any because it was in the stream that we were sending to the server for people to hear. So it could have been any of our mics, and it could have been something that just came through. Or it's weird. We don't know exactly how EVPs happen. We don't know if it's something that is somehow put onto the recording device, or is it picked up and it's just at a frequency level that we cannot hear at the time? Because if we can hear it, it's a disembodied voice. Jimmy, what do you think?
But it's pretty well isolated. So I guess my question is there a separate channel? Is it in between, or is it just coming into like your channel or Jimmy's channel when somebody else is talking?
Oh,
I'm not a tech guy. You got to answer that one.
Yeah. That's a very good question. And Dave had posted that where he picked this one up was between two words that Jimmy was saying. So it could have been on Jimmy's side.
Okay.
It could have been something with Jimmy. It's hard to tell because even though Skype does light up around the box when someone's talking, it's hard. Sometimes we don't hear it, or we hear it so quickly and we don't look at the same time, like it's delayed to see which mic it came through. But as for when you have a recorder, that's a very good question. Is it in a different audio stream that's out in the world that the recorder is able to pick up because at a different frequency level, or is it in that same mainstream as we are and talking and stuff like that? Like I said, there's a ton of stuff in this field that we do not have any clue, and there are people out there that claim that they know, and it's kind of hard to say that because there's no scientific proof. You can't reproduce these things.
Yeah, I have my opinions and curiosities about certain devices that I've seen advertised in different places where they're basically saying you can use this to hear voices from beyond, and you can do, and I while I don't doubt that they can be recorded, because I think there's enough EVP evidence out there to say that we're not sure where they come from. Mm-hmm. But to be able to say that somebody can create a device that would then attract the voice so you can hear, that starts getting a bit sketchy to me.
Yeah, and some of those devices that you're mentioning, like the Ovilus and stuff like that, they do have somewhat of a pre-programmed memory bank or a dictionary, and they use many different methods to determine phonics and all that stuff to determine what words. And I can't talk tonight, but it's so yeah, I agree with you. Some of those devices out there, it's sketchy until I can actually break into it and see how it's doing it. I personally don't trust it, and I get most of my best audio. I get my name called on investigations, and that all comes from a regular recorder.
Right. Without pre-programmed words in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, is that when you start looking at things that are pre-programmed and you do have, specific words that come up, I don't know that it works that way. I guess it could, but I would say that anything that comes up that way would be hugely suspect. Yeah. And I like the more spontaneous sort of things where you look back and as you're going back you go, hey, wait a minute, or there's an open mic. I think that's one of the things that I appreciated about Ghost Hunters International and Rob's work and Jason Hawes and those guys, is that I used to have a parrot. I used to have several parrots that I wanted to teach how to talk, and they would never talk when anybody was around, but if you went into the house and you were really quiet, eventually they would begin to talk, and it was quite clear. But it was interesting to me that they never really revealed that they had that skill, or that ability to do it. They would squawk and make all kinds of other noises, but they never really repeated the words unless they were alone and by themselves. And so I kind of equate that with an investigation where you go in and there's just an open mic and you're very quiet and you're sort of allowing the natural tendency of whatever is going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. Some of the best times that we've gotten EVPs are when we're just sitting around, sitting up, or just casually talking amongst each other, and something will pop in there. It's almost like when you're sitting there and you're asking questions and you're looking for kind of a response, they're kind of like, I'm just going to be quiet. I don't want to answer. But when you're not paying attention to them, they go, oh man, they're not paying attention to us anymore. And I think exactly, leaving a mic alone in a room and having that recorded, or just casually talking, sometimes you get your best results there, because it's like, I would feel that if I passed today and I was on the other side, I wouldn't want someone to come to where I'm at and just be like, I demand you to speak to me, or I want you to do this. I'd wait until they least expect it and be like, hey man, what's up?
Hey, Brock and Willie, We have about 5 minutes left. We have a special. I believe we have a special guest caller.
Cool.
I can only hope.
Let's see. Are you there, mystery caller?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Mike from Tampa. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good, Mike. Howdy, partner.
Yeah, I'm not from Texas. I'm from Tampa, Tampa. Thank you. I just wanted to ask Mr. Aames, what was it like? I mean, I know they had the spinoff where they did like a variety show, and I know them. They never really explained like why Alice, the lady who played the maid, why she wasn't on the show. And I was always curious about that. I'm not saying she was better on the show. And I always thought, Mr. Aames as Peter was great. I always thought he was a great actor, and he did his job. And that must have been tough working with all them wonderful young people and older people too. And I just want to ask him, why no Alice? And Alice's boyfriend, the butcher, he wasn't on the show at all. And how are you going to call it? I believe it was called, the spinoff was 9 is More Than Enough. And how are you going to call it 9 is More Than Enough when you only got like 5 of you? And so that's my question. I know I get a little long-winded and I get a little confused, but I really liked the show. It was funny. It had a lot of moments. You remember the time when they threw the ball in the house? You guys remember that one when you did that one? Remember when you hit her in the face? Yeah, you broke the face. Oh, broke her nose too.
Hey, Mike from Tampa.
Well, I hate to break this to you. I hate to break this to you, Mike, but I believe Alice was a cross-dresser. That was a guy.
Oh, okay. See, we got a little bit of that in Tampa, and I ain't got nothing against that. I mean, I remember the one episode where I believe later on where I didn't know none of that, and it don't get me wrong, it don't change my feelings on the show. Oh, I see what you're doing there. Y'all playing a joke, man. I thought y'all been for real. No, but in all seriousness, do y'all stay in touch? Like all the boys and the girls, or they all stay in touch, or you don't stay in touch so much?
No, we all stay in touch. I mean, and on both shows actually. I talked to I guess all three, because I was good friends with a lot of the people on the Brady Bunch. But yeah, we all actually, that's one of the great things about Facebook is that people reach out and you end up reconnecting after some years, and we do stay in touch. So occasionally we'll send each other a note and see how each other's doing, or if you read something that's going on.
We only have 2 minutes left.
You know what I never got about your show is how come Trapper John M.D. was living in like the 80s, but the Korean War was in the 50s? How did he come back from Korea? Was that like a Buck Rogers, like one of them time warp things where he left in the 50s or the Korean War and then he comes back? And I know y'all weren't in that show, but I know that was a very popular show too, that you might know some of those guys. How did Trapper John wind up in the 80s? Is that like kind of a Laverne and Shirley with like the Fonz and all those guys where they switched what time they were in?
Are you just flipping through a television book of shows?
What? I'm sorry, Mr. Aames. I don't know what you mean.
Hey, Mike from Tampa. Mike from Tampa.
Yeah, I'm Tampa, Florida, born and raised.
Mike,
that's a nice walk down through the television lineup of 1978.
Willie, do you know what
because it's Mike. But the whole thing is, Willie Aames, I mean, I know he was, Charles in Charge, 8 is Enough, Flashback. I believe he was in Growing Pains for a while, Mr. Belvedere later on, and all of those were what many of us consider great classics. Some of the classics. You remember he'd always say, drop kick your jacket when you came through the door, no one glared. Remember that? I don't know who sang that. The boy got some pipes on him. I can tell you that much. That's what we used to say down in Tampa.
Mike from Tampa, I'm so glad you called. We only have a couple minutes left. I just wanted to mention that next week we have Tony Filosi of Interviews from Beyond, and next month, hopefully next month or soon, we're gonna have Rob Demarest on from Ghost Hunters International.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. I used to love that show. The two guys from down in Texas. I know who you're talking about, Rob and Brad Kling, the brothers. I used to love that show, Ghost Lab. And I just want to say, I know y'all real busy. I just wanted to say, Mr. Aames, it's been a pleasure. And I just like to say that I'll be definitely listening next time when you got Tony Danza. I loved him on Who's the Boss. I loved him when he had his own show.
Lots of prayers.
The guy was hilarious, man. Remember when he was on Taxi? That was one hell of a show, I'll tell you that. Well, y'all have a great night. Mr. Aames, it's been a pleasure. Jimmy Horner, always a good time with you. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and best of luck from Tampa.
Thank you, Mike. I'll talk to you
You
later.
too, Mike.
Y'all take care. All right,
Have a good weekend, buddy.
All right.
Willie.
Yes, sir.
That was Rob.
What's that, Rob? I thought it might be.
Yeah, he didn't want to give
I
us
thought. I thought it might be. I thought it might be.
I sent him a message to call in, but he wanted to be Tony from Tampa. Mike from Tampa. Anyways, we're out of time, unfortunately.
Rob, I will get you back, my friend. Oh, I will get you back.
Anyways, and please watch Willie's Christmas special on the Hallmark station. You know I'm going to promote that for you. And that's going to be on November 12th. It's going to premiere, called Christmas Makeover. Willie, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Good night, listeners. Brock, Dr. Dave, Willie, Mark from Tampa, Mike from Tampa. Good night.
Not.